Hello and welcome to my review of the Thanatar Cavas Siege-Automata for Mechanicum for Warhammer the Horus Heresy from Games Workshop. Now this plastic miniature will cost you £63.25 and consists of 175 plastic components and a 120mm round base. Also includes a Mechanicum macro constructs transfer sheet containing 394 water slide transfers. If you type in Thanatar into Games Workshop's web store, you'll be greeted with two options: this Cavas Siege-Automata or the Calyx Siege-Automata. The main difference being that this plastic one is a fair bit cheaper at 63 compared to the 103, and also this is plastic and the Calyx is Forge World resin. It's a full resin mini. They also look a little bit different. They share the same kind of body and head. It's just their main weapons and their fists are a little bit different. With this one, the Cavas, it's equipped with a Helix pattern plasma mortar, a terrifying weapon that launches spheres of plasma into the heart of enemy fortifications. The Calyx pattern is equipped with a Solex or Solex laser weapon. And also, instead of the shock chargers, it's equipped with a graviton ram, so it's a bit better in combat. The format of this review is as normal. I will have a look at this Cavas pattern Thanatar up close, talk to you about how easy it was to build. I did build most of it in the live stream. I think I got up to the arms, so I built the arms and the actual plasma mortar off stream just for time reasons. Then we'll look at the spare parts. I'll go through some size comparisons with other Mechanicum miniatures, including some Mechanicum Knights. I think you'll be very interested with these size comparisons. And then at the end, I'll go through all of its rules found in the Liber Mechanicum book, which was released in 2022. So first things first, let's have a look at this miniature. It's most likely going to be the largest plastic Mechanicum miniature that you'll have. I mean, if you picked up the battle group, the Triaros armored conveyor would have been your largest one. Now this overtakes it in terms of height. Probably not bulk, because that's quite a large tank, but definitely this will tower over all of your Mechanicum, with the exception of Knights. But it is bigger than the Moiraxes, so there is that. I think it's a fantastic mini. Looks wise, it's very grim dark, very Mechanicum. I do like the Solex variant more, not because of the graviton ram, but because of the big Solex pattern las cannon on the top. I think it's both are quite cool. This one gives you the option, as you could see in the box, to have the plasma mortar with the petals open or with it closed. Also, it gives you multiple options in terms of, like, I haven't glued that, so you can move that about if you wish. The shock chargers themselves, you can have them in different sort of positions. Like this one is slightly more open because you can pick the bottom pincers, I guess. You can have it moving forward, and I think the plan was in the live stream to have him moving forward. Just be wary of that, because some of the pictures and the instructions are a little bit confusing. So I would try not to glue the legs as much as they kind of say, and wait until you've got the hips ready before you put it in a position, or at least get the parts for the different poses ready and cleaned up and things before you sort of choose the pose and set it. In the end, I had to go for a static pose, but that's fine because I wanted the plasma mortar with the petals open anyway, and I think that works best with it kind of stood there bracing and firing off a mortar. I'm not sure what I will do with the Solex. I might have that one moving forward, about to hit something with the ram. There isn't really an open version or a closed version with the Solex pattern las cannon, but we'll see. I might get a second one of these and have it moving forward like the cover art with the plasma closed, and have two plasma and one Solex. I'm not quite sure. Mechanicum aren't going to be like my main army in Horus Heresy, but it would be good to get some more models, probably to go with other legions. Anyway, it's straightforward to build. The legs do take a fair bit. There's you know, a lot of parts to them, but cleaning wise, the mold lines are pretty decent. The only join sort of issue you'll have is maybe this chest piece, but everything else goes together quite well. Minimal cleaning needed of mold lines. Again, just be careful with the pose you go for this arm, because there are only 2 ammo feeds for the you know, twin link Mauler bolt cannon there. So you have to be careful about the pose you go for the arm, because you know, you can only go for one or the other with those 2 different ammo feeds. What's nice is this little piece kind of glues there, and in reality you don't really need to glue the plasma mortar onto the 2 hinges. I just did, just for quickness, but you can leave it a little bit loose, and it's has enough friction for you to pose it slightly, so there is that. But I found building the plasma very enjoyable, and really the body as well, and the armor plates and things. So very cool model, very imposing, big robot to go with your Mechanicum. Spare parts then, they are right here, and as I've talked about them so far, this is your alternate ammunition feed. This is the foot raised that I didn't use. You can have the left foot or the right foot raised, so there are some options, but not really options for kind of posing the leg. You know, if you've had experience with other kind of robots and knights and things. The optional mortar launcher, cool bit of detail is the central piece there is closed, whereas on the one with the petals open, it's open. That's a nice little feature. You've got a few different pistons for the legs, and the different pincers for the shock chargers, and that's about it. I don't know whether you could use some of these. Maybe you could use this, you know, on a base or something. Some character standing on this maybe, or cut it in half and kind of look like it's buried into the landscape. Interesting fact, the petals, you use the same petals for it being open or closed. There's spare parts, not that many. Size comparisons then, let's just give you a comparison with the second largest sort of robots that I have for Mechanicum in plastic, which are of course come from the battle group, the Castellax. I thought the Castellax were quite a decent, medium-sized sort of robot. They are probably half the height, if you count the plasma, probably about half the height. So that's where they stand up next to one of those. I think they make quite good companions for it. Very survivable, can dish out a fair bit of damage. Then we've got the Thalax right here. So that's where a Thalax stands next to one of these Thanatar. I've probably mixed the names up in some of the reviews already. And then finally we get the tech thralls as well. So that gives you an idea where the tech thralls are, barely up to the knee for these. The Triaros, which did you know, hold the crown as being the tallest Mechanicum miniature, is now, you know, smaller, you know, with the addition of that plasma, but it's still kind of the biggest plastic kit really for Mechanicum. You'd need like 2 or 3 of these Thanatars to, yeah, humble one of these Triaros, which is, you know, testament to this kit. It's a fantastic kit. And then compared to the Archmagos Prime right here, that gives you an idea. I think the Archmagos is, yeah, smaller than a Castellax, but yeah. Moving on to some, I say, slightly larger Mechanicum units maybe. We've got the Moirax Knights. So I guess taller with the plasma, but the actual carapace of the Moirax, I'm not sure about the shoulder plates, but definitely the carapace is taller than the whole thing of the Thanatar. But yeah, it's a, you know, small armiger sized, or smallest knight sized robot at the end of the day. Moving on to something bigger, like a knight Megira. Gives you an idea of a sort of a full-size knight there next to the Thanatar. So yeah, the Thanatar is a little bit humbled by a normal knight. And then compared to the Acastus Knight, why so serious Asterius? Yeah, now that is the big robot right there. But yeah, one of these will set you back £400 now. You know, with a discount at £50 for the Thanatars, yeah. You're going to be able to get 8 Thanatars for the same price as one of those Asteriuses. Compared to some Space Marine models, I just throw out the Mark 3s and the Mark 6s. You know, if you are up against some Space Marines and you're firing those plasmas, this is what you know, the plasma will be aimed at. Big blobs of Mark 6 and Mark 3s, most likely. Compared to a Contemptor, this thing really does humble a Contemptor. Yeah, you know, it's going to be a big sort of robot. It's going to be bigger than the Leviathans as well. It really is going to be a target for Space Marines to wipe out with like heavy weapon squads or Land Raider Spartans. Just anything anti-tank will target this walker. And the last few comparisons I always like to make is just with some 40k minis. So we do have Primaris Space Marine, normal Space Marine, like Legacy Space Marine I guess, and Slime Arbo. So it gives you an idea. Don't think there are 40k rules for them, but it's Horus Heresy at the end of the day. A lot, if not nearly all, of these Horus Heresy reviews and things won't have 40k rules. But the Primaris is probably just past the knee joint on the Thanatar. So yeah, but you know, not even up to the waist. It's a big robot. Okay, so this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for the Thanatar. You'll find its rules in the Liber Mechanicum Forces of the Ominous Sire army book. Despite its main picture on the Martian Civil War new release book, its rules are not in that book. I need to let you know about that. But in the Liber Mechanicum book, it does count as a heavy support choice, which is fantastic. It's great that it's not actually a Lord of War or anything like that. But then again, Knight Moraxes are also heavy support choices. One of these will cost you 235 points. It can be replaced with a Thanatar Calyx, you know, the one with the Solex Heavy Las, for an additional 20 points, so that would be 255. What do you get for these 235 points though? Well, you get a movement speed of 8 inches, it's pretty fast actually, weapon skill 3, okay, ballistic skill 4, strength 8, toughness 8, 7 wounds, initiative 3, 3 attacks, leadership 7, and a save of 2+. That's fantastic. You're getting 2 shock charges and a plasma mortar, as well as a twin-linked Mauler bolt cannon and an atomantic deflector. The unit type is Automata, Cybernetica Heavy, and the special rules is Hammer of Wrath 1 and Thanatar Maniple. The Calyx variant would have the Graviton Ram and the Solex Heavy Las. A Thanatar Cavas with 2 shock charges gains an additional attack. This additional attack is not included in the characteristics profile above. Interesting, so it's going to have 4 attacks in close combat. A Thanatar Siege-Automata Maniple may include up to 2 additional Thanatar Cavas at 235 points per model, so you're not saving any points by having 3 of them in one heavy support choice, but it's pretty cool to run 2 of them, whether it's the Cavas or the Calyx, because technically you can replace the Cavas with Calyx and have both of them as one heavy support choice. So that's great, and it frees up your heavy support choices for, I don't know, more Knights or Myrmidons or Krioses or Karachnos assault tanks, you know, those kind of things. A unit consisting of a single model may be upgraded to have the following special rule. Note that only one model in the army may be upgraded in this manner, and that's Paragon of Metal. Paragon of Metal, if you didn't already know, I'll just briefly go over it. Basically, only one model in the army may be upgraded, and if they are upgraded, then They get the Paragon subtype, which replaces the Cybernetica subtype. They get the It Will Not Die 4+, Precision Strikes 4+, Precision Shots 4+, and Rampage 2 special rules. It also increases the starting wounds characteristic and their weapon skill characteristic by +1, which is pretty good. You know, you're then going to get 8 wounds and you're going to get a weapon skill of 4. So it might be worth doing that, but you are paying 35 points for that. But if you want this to survive a bit more and be a little bit better in combat and all those other things, then yeah, it might be worth spending those points. Weapons wise, of course, the big weapon there that we need to talk about is, of course, that plasma mortar. And that is a 36-inch range, strength 8, AP 4. That's pretty standard for plasma, but you know, it is strength 8 instead of the 7, you know, which means, you know, against Space Marines it's going to be double in their toughness. It's an Ordnance 1 weapon. It's a large blast 5 inches. It's breaching 4+. It ignores cover, which is fantastic, and it's reactor overload, so be careful with, you know, firing that one. I like the fact that although it's only 36-inch range, you do get a nice 5 inches with it, and it's ignoring cover. Like the only other plasma weapon that ignores cover, well, in terms of Liber Mechanicum at least, is on the Warlord Titan, the Sun Fury Plasma Annihilator, the plasma blast gun of the Warhound, and I guess to some extent the Reaver Titan, if you could, you know, if there was a part that was available to buy for the top carapace weapon for the Reaver, is not ignores cover. So yeah, just bear that in mind. That even Space Marines hiding behind walls and things are not safe with this plasma mortar. Its other weapon, of course, is the twin-linked Mauler bolt cannon, which has had a bit of a debuff. The Mauler bolt cannon is, of course, a 24-inch range, strength 6, AP 4, heavy 4 pinning, but of course it's twin-linked. Your enemies must be pretty close for you to be able to use that, although technically, you know, it would have an effective range of 32 inches. Its melee weapons are the shock chargers. Nothing different with these shock chargers compared to the Castellax's shock chargers, which is a little bit annoying considering they are, well, bigger, you know, and the power output of this robot is bigger, and it would need to be to move it. So my thoughts are, if it can move it, then, you know, I would think that there would be more power, more strength in those shock chargers compared to the Castellax. I don't think the extra power boost and things is just slaved to the weapons, because then this thing wouldn't be able to move. So I think some of it should have been diverted to its arms and increase the shock charges. The thing that goes against me saying that a little bit, the shock charges strength is dependent on the user. So in this case, these shock charges are strength 8 as opposed to the Castellax's strength 7. They are still AP 3, so they're going to be squishing Space Marines. Yes, you're going to get that extra attack for it being equipped with 2. So you're only going to get 4 attacks, so it might get bogged down, especially if it's only got, especially if you didn't give it Paragon of Metal and it's only got the weapon skill of 3. It might not be hitting Space Marines quick enough and might not be taking enough of them out. So I still, even though it's AP 3 and strength 8, I would still try and avoid combat with them. Maybe you could punch a tank or 2 with it. But really you want to be punching tanks with the Graviton ram, which is what the Calyx variant is equipped with, because that is a strength 10, and it's AP 1 and armor bane with concussive 2. So I do find it a little bit odd that the variant with the longer range weapon, you know, the Solex Heavy Lads with a range of 48 inches, strength 10, AP 2, heavy 3, armor bane, shock pulse, has a better close combat weapon, like a way better close combat weapon, you know, strength with the armor bane and things. So bear that in mind. It's not as good in close combat for that hard punch compared to the other variant. But it's better at wiping out big 5-inch blobs of, yeah, Space Marines and ignoring the cover. And that's all I've really got to say about the Thanatar Cavas Siege-Automata. I think it's a fantastic looking model. Whichever pose you go for, you can't really mess it up. Bracing, firing that plasma. I enjoyed the build. I probably will pick up another one at some point. I hope that they have worked on a Calyx pattern, and I can't wait to pick that one up when they release it. What do you guys think of the Cavas pattern Thanatar Siege-Automata? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below. Thank you for watching. The Omnissiah protects.